Here we are in Blade and Sorcery, and we are currently in front of the lighthouse on the Citadel map. Now, I want to get to the very top, so how we the player get up there is through some light parkour, for there seems to be no easy access to the top. But here is where it gets interesting, for there is an easy way. See, back when this place had actual people living in it, someone would obviously have to keep this lighthouse lit up, and I highly doubt that they would be expected to risk their life over a 1,000-foot drop just to light a little fire. So, if we actually turn around and look to the floor, we can see a trap door that leads down to a more accessible area, as we can see through this large door. Meaning that any worker does not also have to be a literal god to get on top of the lighthouse, which I just find pretty interesting, because the developers obviously spent the time to put in that trapdoor and the big door that leads to an inaccessible area to seemingly make this world an actual livable space for the NPCs. But that's just one interesting detail. And today we will be looking at many other details. So let's just get straight into it. Oh, and if you at any point enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe since it really helps out the algorithm. And then also make sure to join the Discord if you want announcements about streams and video updates. Alright, so the first detail is actually still in the Citadel. And as I went over in the previous video, there are these underground sewers that we looked at briefly. However, we didn't really look at the sewers as a whole, as in the sewage system, to see if it actually works. So let's just go ahead and look at that. So when we are in the sewers here, we can obviously see that there are some sort of well systems that drain into here, as we can see these pretty obvious holes that supposedly come out from the top. However, once we actually go up to the top, there are none to be found, which is a little bit strange, seeing that this sewage system obviously is a drainage system with all of these little paths in the floor that obviously direct the flow out of these holes that are scattered around the Citadel. Now, why it's strange that there are no drains literally anywhere is because the Citadel is basically like a big box. As we can see at the very top, not only is it sort of in a box-like shape, but there are actually walls on every single side, meaning that if rain were to come down, it would just fill up, and that's not very good. But as we can also see, the Citadel is built on a slope-like system, meaning that there are stairs that lead down to other levels. So there's gonna probably be some sort of drain down there, right? At least a opening in the wall that would lead down to the ocean below? And the answer is no. Now, there are some cracks in the wall from aging or whatever battles went on here, but there's no natural crack in the wall that would lead to some sort of water flow, which is very strange, but it's just a little interesting detail there. So anyways, let's not think too hard on it. It's probably just the developers overlooked that. And let's go on to the next one. Alright, so here we are at the house. You know, nothing unusual. Or is there? See, as many people know, especially from this new update, the house has a magic system built into it. Or so we think. So right over in this room, we can tell that is this big stone that acts as a magic spending tool in the game where you can unlock new skills. But I find it kind of strange that there's just a house that has it. And why I find that strange is because this little island, or mainland, actually houses another little magic area, which is over in the big cave. There's this teleporter temple. It's basically one of the main goals of the, I think it's Dalgarians, maybe? I don't really know their exact way to pronounce that. But anyways, it's one of their main systems. And we can very well see the importance of a magic stone that grants highly dangerous skills. So what exactly is it just doing in our house? Well, that's what I kind of want to find out. And I have come to the conclusion that this magical stone was actually here before the house. And here's why. You see, there is a hill that is right outside of the house, which does not look like it would be a very suitable hill to build your house next to, for it is, well, quite small. Small enough where it would be suitable to build a small little structure like a, well, magical stone around it instead. So what I think happened is that whoever built the teleporter also built the stone right outside of the teleporter room, and then someone came along, saw it, saw the importance of the stone as well, and then decided to build a house around it. For if we enter the inside, we can also see that the interior walls are made out of the stone of the hill, which is just a little bit strange. And this entire room seems more like a little shed for this house instead of an actual full-on room. Rather than they brought the stone from somewhere else and just decided to build their house here, which I just find as a neat little detail, which is what this video is about. So with that being said, let's go on to the next map. So here we are on the pirate ship map. And because of this comment that I got on my last video, I found out that the Baron that we see in the story mode of this game is actually present in the ship. No, not as an NPC, but as a picture. See, if we go into the captain's quarters, we can actually see a very, very clear picture of the Baron when he was a little bit younger, either as a captain or as some high official next to this other sorcerer, as it looks like. And obviously we can confirm this when we go to the Baron, and he always is yapping about his past self being a Centurion, is it? I really don't know. The pirate faction. He was part of the pirate faction, alright? But this shows that he wasn't just a part of the pirate faction, he was probably one of the high officials, or a very influential person, shall you say. And then he used all of his savings to start his own little shop. So that's just a cool detail. Alright, so here we are at the town, and just a quick little Easter egg, I'm pretty sure, is actually quite bigger than I originally thought. But we will get into that very soon. So, as you know, this is a sort of trading, farming village. It's also pretty well protected, so it seems to be quite a big place. But not only that, if we look a little bit closer, we can see that this village fully functions on the source of grain or bread. Now, obviously, a village needs to have a food source to survive. And luckily for them, they do. Or there are these great big grain storage houses. And if anyone's skeptical about that, if we go to the back of one of these houses here, we can see very large piles of grain. Now, you know, it's grain. We really don't know what happens here. But we can also confirm that there are most likely ovens or some sort of bread making system here. Or there is also a bread sword. Now, most people think, you know, oh, it's just a bread sword. But I personally think that this proves that this town produces bread. Now, what does that mean? And why is that strange? Well, that obviously means that they need to have the tools to make this bread. And now I'm no professional farmer or anything, but I'm pretty sure you need to be receiving grain from somewhere and then making that grain into flour and then baking that flour into bread. That's at least the simple part. But there is a key part missing from that algorithm that we do not have. Or, technically we can't see any ovens, but we can see houses that most likely have ovens in them, where it can be, pretty much confirmed that there's some sort of bread making system in there. However, we do not see a way that they can turn this grain into flour, which is kind of concerning, since that is a key part about making bread. Now, what would this look like? Well, it would be some sort of mill system, either windmill or watermill. And we can throw watermill out of the way because once they updated this map, the river actually went completely away. Meaning that the only real way that they could turn this grain into flour is through a windmill, which is not present. Meaning that they would either have to get the flour input from some random town, or they all just starve to death, which would kind of make sense because this map is fairly empty. So I just thought that that was a pretty cool detail. And then finally, for the last detail, we are returning to the pirate map. There's something a little bit cool that happens when we go to the lighthouse. So, if you don't know, the lighthouse is actually looking like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. For some reason, it got destroyed, but not really destroyed. Or in the inside, we can see this very, very big magical crystal. Now, this magical crystal not only makes you float when you go into the inside, but then it also floats around any item that you throw in it, as we can see through this test subject chicken who willfully gave his life for this video's cause. Now that's cool and all, but what's even cooler is what happens when you hit it. For when you do, it actually makes this entire tower rumble, and then if we can see on the outside, these items start to either speed up or slow down, but something happens where they fall out of the sky and land back on the ground. Well, at least most of the items, it seems like the chicken is still flying for some reason. But that's just a pretty cool detail. So thanks to the commenter as well who showed me this. So I hope you enjoyed all of those details. If you have any more ideas or Blade and Sorcery, make sure to throw those at me so that I can continue making videos off of this. And again, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and join the Discord if you want to get video announcements and stream updates. Or I don't just play Blade and Sorcery, this is actually my second video about this. I do these type of videos for many other games. So with that being said, I hope to see you next time.